Welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki and here are the headlines this hour. Stock market snap a three-day losing streak to end the week in the green. IT, metal and auto stocks lead with gains. Rupee continues to gain more lost ground against the dollar. NCLT clears the runway for Jalan Kalro Consortium to own Jet Airways, allows just over 120 days to clear the dues with creditors. Sources say lenders are likely to challenge the order at the appellate tribunal. More trouble for Vodafone Idea. Vendors are likely to seek advance payments from the telco starting this month. Sources say Vodafone Idea's payment history is not inspiring confidence amongst vendors. Industars may consider discontinuing services if advance payments are not made. Wipro margins exceed street expectations even as dollar revenue and rupee revenue miss estimates. The tech major posts a weak revenue guidance for the fourth quarter. With just over a fortnight to go for the union budget, Prime Minister Modi meets economists and professors to seek their inputs. Apple CEO Tim Cook requests and receives a pay cut of 40% after a shareholder vote. His annual compensation now stands at $49 million. And Hockey World Cup kicks off in Odisha's Rourkela today. The men in blue will be taking on Spain later tonight. This is the second consecutive time that Odisha is hosting the tournament. 16 teams will be competing for the game's ultimate honor. Wipro margins exceed street expectations even as dollar revenue and rupee revenue miss estimates. The tech major posts a weak revenue guidance for the fourth quarter. My colleague Reema Tendulkar is here with more.
Thanks so much for that. So on the whole, it's a subdued performance by Wipro on two counts. One, the Q3 revenues have come in lower than street expectations. The company has reported a constant currency revenue growth of 0.6%. This compares with estimates of nearly 1%. And typically, Wipro would report growth numbers in the middle of their guided band. But this time, the top line growth of 0.6% in constant currency terms is at the lower end of their guided band of 0.5% to 2%. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that Wipro has missed the mark on the top line. So Q3 revenues are a miss. When it comes to margins, there is a big outperformance this time. Margins have expanded by 115 basis points to come in at 16.3%. Now, this comes as a surprise because, for one, there was a 2-month impact of the wage hikes which kick in the December quarter. And two, even the management commentary in the prior quarter in October, they had indicated that this quarter the margins, they had indicated or hinted that the margins would be flat. So this margin improvement of 115 basis points has come in as a bit of a surprise. But you know what's going to take away the sheen is the Q3 is the next quarter's guidance. Now, the company has indicated that in Q4, they're likely to see a growth of minus 0.6% to 1% sequentially. Minus 0.6 to 1%, right? This is lower than consensus expectations of 0 to 2%. Also, for the first time, they've indicated that the full year growth number is going to be between 11.5% to 12%. This will also be lower than what peers are likely to report. If you remember, for Infosys, the growth numbers are seen much higher, more than 16%, 16 to 16.5%. And for HCL Tech, FY23 growth is going to be 13.5 to 14%. So in that context, Wipro is going to underperform its peers for the full year. Where Wipro has done well this time are the deal wins. Now, the total large deal wins have crossed $1 billion. This compares with a little more than $700 million in the prior quarter. So quarter-on-quarter jump is there, and year-on-year it's up 69%. Now, earlier Wipro would only report the large deal wins. This is the first time the company is also reporting the total deal wins, which basically means that they're reporting the smaller deal wins, the small size deal wins, plus the renewals. So the company has said that the total order book or the deal wins has stand at $4.3 billion, which is a record, and it's up 26% on a year-on-year basis. So from the key numbers that we track, it's Q3 revenue miss, Q4 guidance is muted, lower than expectations. But on the flip side, the deal wins are strong. And two, Q3 Q3 margins are better than street expectations. So both these two kind of balance each other's out. In terms of the employee metrics, attrition is moderated for the company for the fourth consecutive quarter. It now stands at 21.3%, and the employee headcount has also declined on a sequential basis. Their employee headcount is lower by 435. But on the whole, I would suspect the street would be disappointed by the Q3 miss and the Q4 guidance, even though the margins are positive and the deal wins are steady. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Rima, for that. So that was a quick update on the Wipro numbers. Moving on to the action on Dalal Street, that snapped a three-day losing streak with the sensex gaining over 300 points and the nifty gaining nearly 100 points. With this, both the indices managed to end the week with over 0.5% gains. IT, metal and auto stocks led with the gains. Prashant Nair is here with the market up.
After many sessions of pain, today there was a decent bounce, and I think it was good. We needed a positive, strong close, and we got one. Not before the market actually going sharply lower, but then a good bounce, and then we never kind of looked back. No real volatility after the first 1 hour of up and down. Bank Nifty also saw a similar kind of price activity, although Bank Nifty yesterday did not break below yesterday's, day before yesterday's low, and so on and so forth. It's been relatively stronger in the very near term as compared to the Nifty, and banks also were in contention. The top sectoral gainers, by the way, almost all sectors were in the green, but the top gainers were the PSU Bank Index, the metal space and the IT services space, which was up and about. Some gainers from the large cap space: Tata Steel, Adani Enterprises, IndusInd, Eicher, Infosys. Names like Infosys, which were responding to numbers, had a bit of a down and up kind of a day, but Infi did contribute handsomely to the Nifty. In the broader markets, I mean, there were more gainers than losers, but the fact is what went up was, just look at the names. You had Lloyd Steel Industries, Vardhaman Special Steel, Sunflag Iron and Steel, ITI was one of the top gainers, Archean Chemicals, which is a recent listing, J&K Bank, Edelweiss, ISMT, Ponni Sugar, etc. So, the kind of names which went up were kind of scattered, and some of the smaller sectors really participating. There were losses as well, and these were the well-traded, large liquid names. LTTS was sharply down, Varun Beverages, Gujarat Gas, Bata India, Gland was down again, Aurobindo Pharma, and a few others to boot. So, broader markets, perhaps the kind of companies which went up leaves a little bit to be desired. The Nifty has seen a test of 17,774 today and has seen a good close after that. So that adds to confidence. Let's hope we get a decent close on Wall Street when we come back on Monday, because we're also going to get into the thick of the earnings season starting next Monday. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Prashant, for that. Moving on, the plan to relaunch Jet Airways seems to be back on track. The National Company Law Tribunal today allowed the transfer of the airline's ownership to the Jalan Kolrak Consortium. The consortium now gets 180 days from the effective date of November 16 last year to pay up lenders. But this may not be the end of the matter yet. Ritu Singh joins in with more updates on this. Ritu, what is expected to happen next?
Well, first, the NCLT order today, which brought a relief to the Jalan Kolrak Consortium because it has approved the transfer of ownership of Jet Airways to the consortium against the lenders' plea, which had sought a 2-week stay on the order, which the court has rejected. Now, the court has recognized 16th of November 2022, that is last year, as the effective date for the implementation of the resolution plans. The effective date merely means the date on which all of the conditions laid out in the resolution plans are deemed to have been met as of November 16th last year, and therefore under the regulations, under the plan that has been envisaged, the JKC consortium now gets 180 days from that day, which comes out to be around May of this year, to finish its payment or to start repaying the lenders, the first tranche of which will be about 185 crore rupees. However, like you said, this is not the end of the matter just yet. Like I said, the lenders had already opposed this, and now we've been given to understand that they will move a higher court opposing the NCLT ruling today, because remember we reported earlier that while the consortium maintains it has met all of the conditions under the plan, the lenders do not agree. They believe that it is manipulating the plan to gain unfair advantages and avoid its obligations that were originally envisaged as per the plan approved by the lenders. Remember, the JKC consortium has offered about 1375 crores for the takeover of Jet Airways in cash, which includes 900 crores as capex and about 475 crores as payment to various stakeholders, which includes about 380 crores repayment to the financial creditors, still implying about a 95% haircut that they will have to take. As of now, it looks like the legal battle will continue for this.
All right, thank you, Ritu, for getting us those updates. All right, moving on. Towering troubles for Vodafone Idea. Now, vendors are likely to consider seeking advance payments from the company from this month onwards. Sources say that issues Vodafone Idea's payment history do not inspire confidence among vendors. Ashwit Kumar is here with the details.
Indeed, the picture is quite grim as far as Vodafone Idea is concerned. Let's keep in mind that very recently we had the telecom minister give clarity that it's the promoters that need to take the first step, but need to pump in money, and only then will the government act on equity conversion. And then later, of course, we learnt from earlier this month that even the banks are not too keen on extending any credit to Vodafone Idea. It is on the back of both these triggers, as well as the past payment history of Vodafone Idea, that the vendors are a little unhappy with the way the payments have been made in the past, and therefore are likely to approach Vodafone Idea to go ahead and to make advance payments for these vendor dues beginning January of 2023. Now, this is, of course, keeping in mind how a large amount of accumulated dues have in fact mounted up as of December 2022, and therefore January 2023 the vendors are looking to start afresh, are looking to in fact ask Vodafone Idea to pay afresh. In fact, as far as we understand, the likes of Industars, which is critical for Vodafone Idea operations, even there they are likely to in fact take as drastic measures, even go so far as to discontinue services if these advance payments are not made. In fact, that could very well be the subject matter of consideration in the Jan 24th Industar board meeting that is scheduled later this month. So again, trouble mounting here for Vodafone Idea, and of course, needless to mention, all of this comes on the back of falling subscriber base. In fact, there are some circles such as Himachal, Sikkim, JNK, Odisha, where the subscriber base has fallen to less than 20 lakhs. We saw that in the months of September and October combined. Just these 2 months alone saw 75 lakh subscribers exiting Vodafone Idea network. So clearly concerns here are mounting for Vodafone Idea, not just on the government front, but also on the vendor front as well. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ashmit, for that. Moving on. Meanwhile, the Vodafone Group is planning massive layoffs to control costs, as per sources to Financial Times. Most of the job cuts will take place at the company's London headquarters. It will be their biggest layoffs in 5 years. Vodafone employs about 1.04 lakh people globally and around 9,400 people in the UK. From telecom to banking, the cost-cutting drive continues. Goldman Sachs has begun laying off around 3,200 employees across the world, including nearly 700 employees in India. Describing the layoffs as brutal, Reuters reports that some employees were not being allowed to enter the building, while others were asked to come into the conference room and asked to leave immediately and not even return to their desks. Electric vehicle manufacturer Tesla has cut prices of its top-selling models in the US and European markets. The company has cut prices on its Model 3 in Europe, Austria, France, Germany, UK and others. Saw price reduced on the Model Y. The move is expected to help Tesla qualify for the more electric vehicle tax credits and boost sales. Apple CEO Tim Cook requested and received a pay cut of 40% after a shareholder vote. His annual compensation now stands at $49 million. Cook's annual pay package stood at $99 million last year. Taxi aggregator Rapido has suspended its operations in Maharashtra starting 1 p.m. today. This after the Bombay High Court ordered the company to suspend all services, including food delivery, auto rickshaw and bike taxi in the state till 20th of January. The High Court's ban comes on account of company operating without a license. Moving on, in the commodity market, the spotlight this week was on gold, as Indian gold prices hit a record high of 56,034 rupees with expectations of single-digit returns in equities this year. Should investors continue to focus on alternative asset classes like gold? Sonia Shenoy is here with us. Sonia, does the data suggest that gold outperforms in recessions?
Oh, it does. And as they say, all that glitters is gold. So this week, the big headline really was Indian gold prices hitting 56,000 rupees. Now, if you look at the trajectory in the last 1 year, it's been phenomenal, the returns for gold. It's up 17.5% just in the last 1 year. Current international gold prices were around $1,880 to $1,900 an ounce. And that is a high, that's a rise of 16% from September lows. Now, we decided to pull out some data to try and understand how gold performs during recessions, as well as what the returns of gold versus the equity markets have been. If you look at 1, 5, 10 and 15 years, you will notice that there is a big outperformance that gold has seen compared to the sensex. In the last 1 year, of course, gold has given you great returns compared to the sensex. But look at a 5-year period, there is a small degree of outperformance there. In the last 15 years as well, if you had invested in gold 15 years back, your return compounded would be 11.5% versus just 7.6% for the sensex. So gold has, contrary to expectations, outperformed the sensex across many periods that we've put on the screen. Now, why is gold rallying? There are, of course, several reasons. One of them is that there's an expectation of a mild global recession, and that generally tends to, see investors move towards safe haven assets like gold. Further weakening of the dollar as inflation recedes. Geopolitical issues have flared up. So there are a lot of economies like Europe which are going through a major energy crisis. Over there, people would like to retain their wealth by investing more in gold. Chinese economic growth is expected to improve. There could be more consumption in gold now from China because of the reopening situation. So these are a couple of reasons. But as you rightly pointed out, gold generally does well in recessions. What we decided to do is pull out data of the last 7 recessionary situations to see what the performance of gold has been versus, key markets like the Dow. Now, just take a look at this. In the first recession way back, we pulled out this data from, the 1973, gold gave you a 66% return in that recession compared to the Dow Jones, which was down 10%. If you look across the board, you will see, for example, in 2001, during the recessionary times, gold gave you a return of 4% versus the Dow Jones down about 8%. Also, gold has given you a positive return in 5 out of the last 7 recessions. So perhaps that's a great hedge during a recessionary situation. Let's move on now. A dollar peak has historically been good for gold, yielding positive gold returns 80% of the time. And the narrative is that perhaps the dollar has peaked at the moment. Apart from that, as I said, there are a lot of economies like Europe that are going through a recessionary situation, a global energy crisis, and hence investors could look to protect their wealth. A lot of this data is sourced from the World Gold Council. So let's see what brokerages are forecasting now. JP Morgan put out a note where they said that oil and gold will drive commodity returns in 2023. In fact, they are looking at gold at $1,860 an ounce. As we speak, gold has already surpassed that level, but that's their target by the end of 2023. Are there any risks to the bullish gold view? Yes, there are. One is a soft landing scenario, where business confidence is restored and spending rebounds. Risky assets could perhaps, benefit in such a situation, and bond yields remain high, which could be a challenging environment for gold. But the moot point is that gold has done well in 5 out of 7 recessions and has outperformed the Sensex in a 1, 5, 10 and 15-year time period. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Sonia, for that comprehensive explainer. With that, it's time for a short break. When we return, we'll get you the latest on the pre-budget meeting with just over. Welcome back. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with top economists, researchers and professors ahead of the union budget. Timsi Jaipuria joins in with the details. Timsi, thank you for joining us. Take us through what was discussed in the meeting.
Well, this meeting was ahead of the budget, and as you rightly said, it was a meeting with 19 economists, researchers, professors who are selected from across India to give suggestions to Prime Minister, to Niti Aayog, and also part of the meeting was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. What was discussed inside the meeting? Well, what sources are indicating till now is the fact that PM was a little concerned over inflation, over import dependence, and steady economic growth. So these were the three key areas where there were certain apprehensions, and economists have suggested, given suggestions in the terms of the fact that, yes, global recession is unlikely to have any major impact on the Indian economy. The suggestions have been given to the tune of the fact that how to increase farmers' income, how to also elevate the poor in the country towards better social security. So all these were suggestions that were given, all these were concerns that were taken up. This feedback has been noted. So let's see how much of this feedback actually translates into what are the announcements that the government is likely to make on the 1st of February as part of the union budget. But yes, all suggestions well received. They are likely to be a part of the budget. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Timsi, for that update. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. But before we go, Men's Hockey World Cup kicked off in Bhubaneswar today. India is hosting the tournament for the second consecutive time. Satyajit Senapati brings you all the latest from the Birsa Munda Stadium in Rourkela.
हॉकी का महाकुंभ हॉकी विश्व कप आज से शुरू हो रहा है। सबसे बड़े बात है कि जो राउरकेला में पहली बार बनाया गया है बिरसा मुंडा स्टेडियम, यहाँ पर 2 मैच हो रहा है। पहला मैच इंग्लैंड और वेल्स के बीच में हो रहा है और दूसरा मैच जिसको सबका इंतजार है, इंडिया का मैच हो रहा है। इंडिया का स्पेन के साथ मुकाबला है। आज यहाँ पर 20,000 दर्शकों के सामने इंडिया का परफॉर्मेंस रहेगा। सबसे बड़े बात है यहाँ के 2 ओडिया के 2 प्लेयर्स जो विश्व कप में शामिल है वो भी खेलेंगे। तो होम ग्राउंड में इंडिया का प्रदर्शन कैसा रहेगा, सबका उम्मीद है कि इंडिया जो पहला दिन से विजय का जो यात्रा शुरू करे और आगे जाए और वर्ल्ड कप हटाए, क्योंकि बहुत दिन हो गया जो इंडिया का वर्ल्ड कप नहीं आए। इसलिए सबका जो आशा है कि इस बार इंडिया का प्रदर्शन अच्छा हो। और जैसे उड़ीसा में खेल हो रहा है कलिंग स्टेडियम में भी आज ग्रुप ए का पूल ए का 2 मैच हो रहा है और उसके साथ ग्रुप डी का 2 मैच यहाँ पर होने वाला है। तो सबका उम्मीद है कि जो ग्रुप डी का जो 4 टीम है उसका तरफ देखेंगे तो भारत का पल्ला बहुत मजबूत है, तो आगे जाए और आगे भी अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस करे, इसका सबका उम्मीद है एक तरफ से। और दूसरे तरफ से ये जो बिरसा मुंडा स्टेडियम है ये सबसे बड़ा स्टेडियम बताया जा रहा है और इसके आज के देखेंगे तो 20,000 लोग जो बैठेंगे उनके सामने इंडिया का परफॉर्मेंस रहेगा, क्राउड रहेगा और समर्थन भी ज्यादा रहेगा। ज्यादा इंडियन के बीच में इंडिया का परफॉर्मेंस कैसा रहेगा ये सब दिखने वाला है और कुछ समय के बाद। और अभी देखेंगे तो लोगों भी एंट्री कर रहे हैं अंदर और धीरे धीरे जा रहे हैं और सबका उम्मीद है कि इस बार जो हॉकी विश्व कप है वो इंडिया ही हाता है।